Come on, man. That's Hog Daddy stuff. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. And if this is your first time clicking in, thanks, appreciate that. And if it's your first time clicking, I know why, is because you're like trying to figure out what the hell do you do for a 5th gen Accord rear 5-lug swap. You've probably been sifting through 20-year-old forums trying to figure out the answers. You're confused more than you were when you first started. You don't know what's right, what's wrong, what parts work, what parts don't. It's just a jumble of information that's been posted online, you know, over the course of the last 20 years. I'm here to make this video today to try and help you with what I know works for me. I don't know all the combinations of everything that can work, but I just want to walk you through what worked for me. And if you follow this formula, I don't see why it wouldn't work for you. But that being said, let's just get right into what you need. First things first, you're going to need a car. You're going to need a 5th gen Accord, which is, you know, CD5 is kind of the chassis code that people refer to it, right? 94 to 97, that's what it is. And obviously this is my parts list. So, for the front, you're going to need a complete knuckle from a 6th gen, from a V6 model. That's a 98-02. I got mine off of a sedan, and what you're looking for on these front knuckles is on the back side of the dust cover. There's like a little code stamped into the back of the metal. Actually, let me grab this. So this is my old one, but this is the dust shield that goes behind the rotor. On the one that you're looking for, somewhere on the back side, we'll have like a metal stamped number and letter, and it'll say S5. And that's how you know that's the one that will work. Oof. All right, but anyway, that's it for the front. So you take that whole knuckle from the junkyard complete. So you can take the rotor with it, the caliper comes with it. I mean, I took the whole thing. I think I just cut the brake lines and said, yep, that's it. So that way you can use the 98-02 wheel bearing, rotor, calipers, pads, all that stuff. And then it makes it nice and easy to, when you're replacing parts, you know, down the road or whatever. For the rear, that's where it gets fun. By fun, I mean expensive and not fun at all, really. So what you're gonna need, first things first, I would say, in my case, I started with the car that already had rear disc brakes. That's huge. That being said, first thing you'll need is you're gonna need your 5-lug hub assemblies, and you're gonna get those from a 97 to 01 Prelude. Obviously you need 2. Rotors, I use the 98 to 02 Accord 5-lug, so I got them off the V6 model, and got 2 of those obviously. And they fit over the Prelude hub perfectly, so that's good. And this is why I was saying it's nice to have your car already disc brakes from the factory, because what you'll do is you can reuse your calipers and pads, so that makes it easy. So all you're really having to worry about is swapping the hub assembly and the rotor. So once you get that stuff, so you're gonna need the 98 to 02 Accord hub assembly nut. Axle nut. It's not really an axle nut because there's no axle there, but you know what I mean. You're gonna need 2 of those. The reason why is these have a built-in washer. They're a little different than the 5th gen stuff, so you just need them. I can show you later why. The hardest part about this whole entire thing, and I'm not gonna lie, it's a huge pain in the ass, is you're gonna have to get the 98 to 02 rear spindles from a car with disc brakes. I don't think the drum ones will work. I've heard that you can use the ones from the V6 model too. I don't know about that personally. I used spindles from a 6th gen 4-cylinder with rear disc brakes. That's what I used. So you'll get those. And then obviously the assembly is the hard part because there's a little finagling you have to do to get the rear spindles in to the 5th gen knuckles. You have to use some spacers, and you have to go to the machine shop and press some stuff in. And that's kind of how this swap can get out of hand. It can get really expensive if stuff is really seized in there, and the machine shop is using a lot of hours trying to get your stuff out. Luckily, I didn't have to pay too much to get my stuff pressed out, but be advised that that's something that could happen to you. But these are all the necessary parts that you would need, other than paying for labor and going to the junkyard and buying these, the knuckles and the rear spindles and stuff. It's pretty straightforward. I mean, once I got my knuckles back from the machine shop, everything just slid right back on like it is supposed to from the factory. So it's pretty straightforward after that. The hardest part for me, I think, was getting the information of what will work and sifting through old information online and trying to figure out what is true and what's shit, because you know how people are online. But this is what worked for me. I guess I can update you in the future if there's any issues I come across or incompatibilities with other stuff. But so far it seems to be working. It's kind of hard to visualize all of this, so I'll cut you onto the bench and I'll show you what I have visually so you can kind of see what's going on. I'll do my best to kind of explain what's going on, okay, with these parts and the swapperoonies that we're doing. So, when you go to the junkyard, the 6th gen Accord, the rear knuckles look like this. I mean, they're way different than the 5th gen stuff. And look at that thing. Not even close. Okay, yeah. Guess that's broken. Alright. So obviously this is the 5th gen knuckle and all of its sexy refurb glory. So yeah, they're obviously different than this. But what you're after, now put your thinking cap on real quick. Just do some pretending with me. This is a 5th gen spindle, but just for demonstration's sake, pretend that it's a 6th gen one. You take this thing from the junkyard, go to the machine shop, they press out the spindle. That's what you're left with. And this is what you're after from a 6th gen. And then you take this and you do this. You throw it into your propane tank and maybe cause a fire or a leak or explosion. So once you have both of these, you say, okay, well now what? I got the 6th gen spindles, Josh. What's the janky way to do this? Well, we're not doing the janky way today. We're doing the right way for safety, for longevity, all of that. What you're going to do is you're going to drop off your 5th gen knuckles at the machine shop. And what they're going to do is they're going to press out your spindles from the 5th gen. Again, thinking cap. Push this out. 5th gen one. This is a 5th gen one, so this is what they'll look like. And once you guys start tearing into your stuff, you'll see what I'm saying, because the 5th gens have these goofy little washers that slot in like that. And then they have these little stake nuts or axle nuts, whatever you want to call them, that go over the top, right? 6th gens don't have that. Well, let's see if I can do this without making this fall over. Probably not. There we go. So as you can see, 6th gen has just a little sliver for where you stake the edge of the nut. They don't require the goofy washer, so you just remove it. Also, I mean, you can tell that this nut from the 6th gen has a washer built in to the end of the nut, so that's why you don't really need it. Slap that baby on after the machine shop does their magic, and when you get it back, everything just slides together. But what you have to supply as well as the spindles is you have to give them some machine washers or some kind of washers for the back end of this to make it the perfect length. So as you can see, right, the spindle the back of the spindles right here. That's what they're gonna push in. But what you got to give them is you have to give them some washers. I think see those machine washers right there? There's 2 of them. Essentially what you need is a washer that's 1/8 of an inch thick that they can put over the spindle shaft. So they'll essentially go over this, and it will sit on the back side of here to offset this distance 1/8 of an inch. And the reason you need that is just because of the way that the 6th gen spindles are, their length, right? And then to work with this hub, the Prelude hubs and this Accord nut, I mean, you just need that little bit of extra space on the back to kind of shorten the spindle up to make everything fit perfectly. And that's it. Let's see if I can set that down. There we go. But once you get all those pieces together and put back together, I mean, honestly, you just slide this on, nut goes on, torque it down, dust cover goes on. Not sure what dust cover you can use. You can get creative and try to figure it out. And then never worry about, do I have enough threads? Is my wheel gonna fall off? Why do I have to replace my wheel bearings every 4 months? If you do it this way, which is not janky at all, honestly, this is the correct way, which, you know, I'm surprised myself I'm doing this, but it's also the safety thing, and I'm lazy. I don't want to replace wheel bearings every 4 months. I don't want to just, you know, roast on an axle nut on the wrong shaft and, you know, have my wheel being held on by 2 threads. That's essentially what you need to make this work, which is the general consensus is this is the right way. So if you made it this far in the video, I appreciate it. I hope you learned a thing or two about 5-lug conversion on the rear of your 5th gen Honda Accord. Like I said before, I can update you guys if I run across any issues in the future as I run this. And if there's any questions you guys have about some nitty-gritty information, or if you're confused on anything, just comment down below and I'll do my best to answer the questions that you guys have. I'm not, you know, an expert in this area. I'm not some genius or anything, so I'll do my best to try to share the information that I have with you.
That's Hog Daddy stuff.